there's this very interesting book by a guy called Kahneman, who was a psychologist who won a Nobel Prize in economics, and who probably deserved it. And he had basically a theory of deviations from economically rational behavior. The book is called Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a really fun book. And I had discussed that in the chapter. And I suspected that I had misrepresented one of his arguments, that I was doing it sort of by memory. And I went back and reread it. And I had oversimplified it, so I corrected that. But it then occurred to me that there were actually two different interesting other ways of reading his evidence from his theory. So I added both of those. And when I finish this in a little bit, I will go back and expand on one of them, that both of them involved behavior under uncertainty, gambles people take, which doesn't seem to fit the standard model of rational choice under uncertainty. And Kahneman describes how people act, but I think there are a couple of ways of thinking about what he's describing in which it really is still rational. It's just rational in a more complicated picture. And it often is not worth including complications, because if you include too many complications, your theory becomes complicated enough that you can prove anything and learn nothing, essentially. So that was sort of interesting. And that was the case where I think I got farther this time than I did then. And there's another one, actually, where I had something where I had a really brilliant idea, which I then concluded couldn't be true. And going over it again, I decided that maybe it could be true, that maybe my counterproof was that I'd missed something in my counterproof. So there are a couple of ways in which I've not just repeated what I did before. But on the other hand, if I go over things like my first book, I think the really major ideas I've had have been a fairly small number, and none of them in the last decade. So in that sense, it's slowed down.